It's 9 o'clock. Good morning. You're watching Galaxy, the entertainment channel. We're very proud now to present for the first time anywhere on British TV a Doctor Who weekend.
And welcome to 31 Who for the second day of our celebration of all that is Doctor Who.
In just a few minutes, we blast off with one of the longest stories in the Doctor Who series, War Games.
During the day, we have 3 complete Doctor Who adventures, the Dominators, the Mind Robber and the 3 Doctors.
And there's a rarely seen documentary, our own extended look at special effects and the technology of Doctor Who, ending with a full-length feature film, Daleks Invasion Earth 2050 AD. Here's a glimpse of the Doctors in action.
You wanted advice, you said. I never give it, never. But I might just say this to you. Always search for truth.
Well, why? What's going to happen?
Now, Joe, please do as I ask. And do exactly as I tell you. Do you promise?
All right, I promise.
Contact. Contact.
Please.
But who was that?
Me! Me!
Oh, my word! Zoe! Zoe! Oh.
Surely you were...
Dead? Not at all, my boy. Not at all. I was merely, let me say, frozen stiff.
Those who oppose the will of Omega shall not live. Destroy him!
Oh, dragging me! Oh, concentrate, both of you! Oh, it's too strong!
It's the Doctor!
Oh, yes, of course. Come along, come along.
The TARDIS! Safe and sound by all that's wonderful!
Now, at this point, we hope to be able to contact one of the Doctors. If this works, that is. John Pertwee, welcome to 31 Who. How did you get your job as the Doctor?
I was making a program called The Navy Lark, and an actor called Tanya Levin said to me, why don't you put yourself up for Doctor Who? I understand Patrick Troughton is leaving. And so I suggested it to my agent, and there was a terrible pause on the other end of the phone. And I said, yes, all right, it's not such a good idea, I understand. And he said, no, I don't think it's a very good idea, but I'll try. And he rang up and he spoke to Derek Sherwin, who was the then producer. And he said, I've got a suggestion to take over from Patrick Troughton, my client John Pertwee. And there was a very, very long pause at the other end of the telephone. And Richard Stone, my agent, said, yes, I had exactly the same reaction. And Derek Sherman said, no, you got it wrong. He said, may I read you my short list? And Richard said, I'd like to hear it, yes. And he said, well, your client's name, John Pertwee, is number 2 on our short list and has been for 18 months. So there was an extraordinary thing that I put myself up for a job that I'd been considered for 18 months without knowing it.
Well, the show was at the height of its popularity then. Were you a fan?
No, not really. My first wife, Jean Marsh, was in Doctor Who, and she suggested that I tuned in and watched her, which I did, and I thought it was splendid. I thought it was very good indeed. I liked enormously the performance by Doctor Who #1, William Hartnell. But I haven't watched a lot of it since. I haven't had much chance after I left it. I used to watch it when I was on, but then I'm my type.
Did you have a favourite monster?
Yes, I did. I didn't like the Daleks very much. They looked like a lot of tennis balls stuck on some cardboard with a sink pump and an egg whisk. I liked the Draconians because the Draconians were wonderful, knobbly-faced characters with coxcomb headdresses, and they had big sort of lumps all over their faces. Because they were using half masks then, which you had this, which just showed the human eye, but left the mouth alone, so that you had this full movement of the mouth. What was wrong, I think, with the early monsters like Ice Warriors and Cybermen was that when they spoke, they spoke like this, nothing rude, you see, and all the Dalek voices who came from the bowels of the earth. I liked seeing faces move and eyes being shown. You can have no expression without the human mouth or without the eye.
Are you still recognised as Doctor Who?
Yes, with a nose like mine, it'd be hard not to be. There's not another nose like this in show business. I'm either recognised as three people, as Doctor Who, which is sort of popular, John Pertwee, which is very popular because one likes to be remembered for oneself and what one has done apart from two big culty successes, and Wurzel Gummidge, which the kids recognised. This rather shook me, of course, because I was firmly under the impression that under that great big rubber nose and all those corn husk eyebrows and straw wigs and all those clothes, that nobody would recognise me. But it makes not the slightest bit of difference. I walk down the street and somebody says, "Ah, look here, there's old Wurzel." And so there it goes. So it's the three, Wurzel, me, and the Doctor. And I'm not complaining. I like it.
John, thank you very much for joining us.
Now, the first behind-the-scenes insight today comes from monster makers Sue Moore and her partner, Steve Mansfield. They'll be spending the day working on a monster mask before our very eyes. Steve, how do you start?
Right, well, the first thing that we would receive from the designer is, you know, his inspirations and ideas for the character.
A drawing.
A drawing, yeah. And then what we would do is simply, if it has to fit the actor perfectly, we would take a face cast of, you know, whoever it is.
And with plaster and straws and all the rest, straws up the nose.
Whole works, yeah. And then model straight onto that so that we know it's going to fit precisely and is going to move with his face and what have you. Now, what we're actually going to do today is a hemivore from a story called The Curse of Fenric, which went out, I think, last year. And so, as you see here, we've started modelling on a face cast with clay, yeah. And the next stage from that would be a plaster cast, which is like that.
So how do you get that then, Sue?
All right, first of all, we've taken a plaster mould, well, in this case a one-piece mould, off the front of the sculpture. And so now what we're left with is the face cast of the actor and the outer mould, which we call up the negative, and then we have this, what we call the positive. And so basically what we do from then onwards is we get the latex, and actually, I won't brush in the whole thing. It's basically paint all around the outside with a brush or anything else that comes handy, all around the inside of the plaster. Yeah. Well, when we've actually gone round to the whole edge of it, brought that right round the sides.
Does that dry as you go along? Or?
It does start to dry, depending on the weather. Would you believe it? A lot of warmth, like in the weather we've been having recently, it dries very quickly. Yeah. In cold days, obviously, it takes a bit longer.
And then?
We're basically, when we've painted in that, we then paint the outside of the face cast.
And then you lift it up?
And then we just basically take, we're going to be placing this inside of the original plaster outer mould, and then we foam up the gap in between the two.
And we'll see the result.
Yes, later on, hopefully painted up.
Hopefully.
We'll look forward to speaking to you later.
Right, thanks a lot.
Our guide through the weekend is John Nathan Turner, the producer of Doctor Who throughout the 80s. So, what have you made of the day so far?
Well, terrific seeing so many old friends and some new ones, indeed. Especially two gentlemen who have joined us now, Nicholas Courtney, alias the Brigadier, and Terence Dix, who's got a mammoth track record of work on Doctor Who as a writer, script editor, novelist, etc. But more of Terence in a second. Nick, the War Games, an ideal story for the Brigadier?
Yes, it would have been, wouldn't it? But you see, the trouble is, obviously, I was being held in abeyance for something else, i.e. 2 seasons with John Pertwee. But the War Games actually did come right between, as I remember, the invasion of the Cybermen, which was Pat Troughton's penultimate story, and, of course, Spearhead from Space, which was John Pertwee's first. So I was obviously destined for other things.
Terence, it was a 10-part story. Why was it so long?
simply because I think not one but two shows had collapsed for various reasons. I'm not sure whether the scripts had collapsed or the writers, but there was suddenly a 10-part gap in the schedules. And as sort of assistant script editor I was then, I was suddenly told, you are writing a 10-part show. So I joined up with Mac Hulk, who was a tremendously experienced writer and a great mate of mine. And we wrote it, as I remember, at something like the rate of a script every 2 days.
Good gracious.
Here and there it looks it, but, you know, by and large, I think we got away with it pretty well.
It's something of a landmark in terms of the Doctor's character and what we learn about his history. How were you involved in that?
Well, there was nothing more worked out then except the concept, the very vague concept that he was a Time Lord. And from that, Mac and I worked out that in order to solve the problem, he would have to contact his own people and thereby sacrifice his freedom and put himself up for recapture, which gave a kind of extra bite to the end of the show, and of course the justification for Patrick leaving and John Pertwee coming.
Taking over. Well, coming up after the break, the mammoth 10-part story starring Patrick Troughton as the Doctor, written by Terence and Malcolm Hulp, the epic adventure, The War Games, episodes 1 to 5.
Hello again. We're joined again by Wendy Padbury, who was Doctor Who's companion in the days when the Good Doctor was played by Patrick Troughton, of course. Now, your character was really special, wasn't she? Tell us about her qualifications for a start.
Well, she had loads of qualifications. She was actually an astrophysicist, which I can't even spell. But, however, she was quite a bright, intelligent, clever girl, found on the wheel in space when she first joined the team by the Doctor.
So what was her contribution initially?
She was there on some sort of mission and just got carried away with the Doctor in the TARDIS, which took her into the rest of the series, if you like.
A willing companion.
Yes, yes. And quite nice in as much as she was able to correct the Doctor at times and actually say, you know, oh, please, Doctor. You know.
Did you like it much or not?
Did I like it?
Being corrected, did he like it,
Oh,
the Doctor?
no, he hated it. No, absolutely hated it.
Could that be the reason for the transition then?
Could be, yes.
Tell us what happened to the character.
Well, she just became, in the end, a bit of a screamer, which was a bit unfortunate, because she really wasn't. She was a clever girl, and it was a shame, but that's the way it was written. So.
Why do you think they did that?
I don't know. Maybe it was easier for writers to write in that way. I don't really know.
Does it annoy you that Doctor Who companions are sometimes classed as being screamers?
Well, I think we all get called screamers, yes. I mean, people do think of the girl in Doctor Who as a screamer, which it wasn't, of course, isn't always the case.
Did you realise it was happening gradually, or what was your reaction?
It was gradual, yes. It was a very gradual thing. I mean, the whole of the first story was which was The Wheel in Space, I was this clever girl. There were times in other stories when I was able to shine again as an astrophysicist.
Like what in particular?
I remember having to blow up a computer that we filmed on location.
An early computer?
Yes, a very early computer. So it was odd times I would be able to go back to being the clever girl.
Clever, yeah. A good
nice.
Role model, perhaps, for the girls at the time, do you think?
Yeah, probably, yes. Yes.
Well, thanks for joining us today.
It's a pleasure.
Wendy. John.
Stay tuned for a fascinating documentary presented by Melvyn Bragg, Who's Doctor Who? It was originally shown in 1977 when Tom Baker was the Doctor as part of the Lively Arts series. It includes a multitude of clips of Doctors Hartnell, Troughton, Pertwee and Baker, including an excerpt from Galaxy 4, a story which no longer exists. It gives a remarkable insight into the way the programme is made and the way it affects its audience. Who's Doctor Who? Next on Galaxy.
Welcome back. Now we're joined again by Wendy Padbury, who was Doctor Who's companion in the days when the Good Doctor was played by Patrick Troughton. I'm told apparently that practical joking on the set was at its height then. Is that true, Wendy?
Yes, that is true, yes. Yes, there were quite a lot of practical jokes at that time.
What sort of thing?
Well, lots of things that I can't actually tell you.
No doubt.
But a lot went on in the TARDIS. I mean, often during rehearsals, particularly, obviously not on recording, but during rehearsals, Patrick would come out of the TARDIS without his trousers. But, I mean, there were lots of stories like that. And I do remember a story when Fraser and I were driving to rehearsals, I think, one day, and a taxi driver pulled up beside us and wound down his window and said, "You're that," to Fraser, "you're that Puff in the kilt in Doctor Who." And Fraser said, "Well, at least you watched the programme."
Well, it all sounded like great fun.
It was fun,
anyway.
yeah.
Now, if the Galopta communicator is working properly, we should be able to make contact with Wendy's companion, Fraser Hines. So bear with me. Welcome to 31 Who, Fraser Hines. Why do you think Doctor Who was so successful?
I suppose in one way it's successful because it's English, it's not Star Trek with, you know, $1 million budgets and stuff like that. It's still quite quaint and British. And maybe that's why it is successful, because it hasn't got a multi-million-pound budget and gone extra large. It's still quite quaint and small, and you can't get smaller than Sylvester McCoy. But it's small and British, I think, or Scottish, if Sylvester's watching, because he's Scottish.
So, what's your funniest memory?
Yeah, and it was Padders. She was wearing a little mini kilt. And we used to rehearse just near Shepherd's Bush in a sort of church hall. And one day she was sitting reading this book. She had this mini kilt on, a little pair of boots and a blouse. And Patrick and I went either side of her, and we sat down, sort of looked at her, and she was reading the book. And I looked at him, and he went, I undid the buckle on the right side of her kilt. He undid the buckle on the left side. And then he went, oh, quick, it's our scene. And she went, oh, right. Put the book down, ran into the middle of the rehearsal room, suddenly realised that her kilt was sort of sitting on the... Went to grab it, Patrick picked it up, I've got it, threw it over to me, and she was chasing us around and of course, all the direction, everybody else was falling about laughing. Poor Wendy. But we dashed into the hall, I had this kilt on, I threw it up in the air to Patrick, and just then the vicar walked in, and Wendy looked at him and went, oh, good morning, vicar. And this little figure with a little pair of pants and a blouse and white mini boots going, good morning, vicar. He walked out again, and we never saw him again. We probably straightened him out, I don't know.
Fraser, thanks very much.
And now we return to the epic adventure, The War Games, Patrick Troughton's final story before handing over to Jon Pertwee. Part, of course, from his reappearances in The Two Doctors, The Three Doctors, and the 20th anniversary show, The Five Doctors. Well, the Doctor has become embroiled in fierce wars controlled by aliens, and he and Zoe have just witnessed an ambush involving Jamie, who appears to have been killed. The War Games.
Hello. Wasn't it sad to see the end of Zoe and Jamie, but for Doctor Who to be banished forever to walk the earth? What a hideous fate.
Truly ghastly. Now, most of the time, the Doctor and his companions made their escape from tricky situations by leaping into the trusty TARDIS. It was never, of course, quite as simple as it sounds, but whenever they were in real trouble, you could be pretty sure that the Doctor or his companion would utter the famous line, "We've got to get back to the TARDIS."
You were safe in the TARDIS? Are you sure? Well...
I'm going to try the controls. Be careful, Susan. Ow! No! Ow!
She's fainted. I used the fast return switch.
Fast return switch? Has the TARDIS ever been buried up to its neck in lava before?
Well, no.
Well, how can you be so sure we're going to be all right?
We're safe now. Are you sure?
Yes, you can all relax. We're quite safe now.
I don't touch it, it's live! Oh, dear! The TARDIS! There's the TARDIS!
Back! Come back!
Strange-looking craft. Must be very cramped and uncomfortable for 4 travelers inside at one time.
Yes.
Well, next in this Doctor Who weekend, we have a 5-part story from 1968. It features deadly robots called the Quarks, and you'll also spot Ronnie Crossroads Allen and Kenneth Last of the Mohicans Ives. So sit back for the Dominators.
welcome back to 31 Who. As you can see, Doctor Who fever is having an effect.
We've got all the symptoms, wouldn't you agree? In the next half hour, we take a closer look at some of the wackier costumes and try to get inside the imagination of one of the designers to find out where they get their ideas from.
We talk to the creator of the fiendish robots, the Daleks.
We visit the electronic sound effects department that did so much for Doctor Who, the Radiophonics Workshop.
We celebrate some of the visual special effects too.
And our own special companion, John Nathan Turner, the Good Doctor's producer for the last 10 years, is with us again to guide us through the Doctor's world.
Hello, well, I think Doctor Who fever has gone quite far enough without this outlandish outfit from the Colin Baker era of Doctor Who. Luckily, we've got on hand costume designer Patricia Godfrey, so, Pat, what on earth am I doing in this, and where did it come from?
Well, when I was allocated to the programme, we had a programme discussion about what Colin's outfit should look like, and we decided that it should be totally tasteless. And that's what we've hoped to achieve.
I think you've succeeded. Do you happen to have the designs with you there?
Yes, here we are. We originally were going to have spotted trousers, but ultimately we ended up with striped ones made from pillow ticking.
Oh, right, they're very, very effective. And these are actually samples of the material there, are they?
Yes, and of course we couldn't use any blue because of the colour separation overlay.
No, right. Well, thank you, Pat.
Okay.
What's a nice Silurian sea devil like you doing in a place like this?
One of the hallmarks of Doctor Who was that it was a show which portrayed ideas that were right at the frontiers of science and technology, a vision of the possible technological future. But one technology Doctor Who and the TARDIS seemed to take right along with them was electronic music and sound effects. Electronic music making was in its infancy when Doctor Who started, but it rapidly progressed as the series made more and more demands upon the backroom boffins. 31 Who went along to the BBC Radiophonics Workshop to find out how things were done.
I originally started work on all the effects for Doctor Who, and Dick worked with Delia Derbyshire to put together the signature tune which Ron Grainer had written for Doctor Who. So Dick, for the first few weeks, was very involved in getting the signature tune right, while I was trying to get the TARDIS right, because those were the two most important things that had to be done before the season started. The TARDIS had to be like no other spaceship had ever been. It was going through the fabric of time and space. I wanted a ripping sound, sort of the tearing apart of time and space. And so the idea came of running a key down a piano string to get this scrapey sound. And I wanted things that were coming towards you and going away from you at the same time.
The Daleks were once likened to villainous pepper pots, and because people think the Dalek is all metallic and sheer logic, which is not actually, the Dalek is a green slimy thing inside the pepper pot, the voice had to be completely expressionless.
I understand. If she returns with the drug, am I to allow the prisoners to use it? No, they will die in time.
Basically, all it is the Dalek's speech, which is provided by a separate actor to the one who actually trundles the thing about the set, through a microphone, through a device, electronic device, that chops it up about 17 times a second. Now, I say about 17 times because it depends on the particular actor's delivery rate, which suits it best. And we've got a microphone here, and I think probably Brian can relive a few moments. Get behind the settee now.
Exterminate, annihilate, destroy, exterminate. They will be exterminated, exterminated.
Of course, in the early days, I mean, there were no synthesizers. We had razor blades, tape, an old piano, an old system, a microphone, a lot of nerve.
And our own bodies, it has to be said.
And things like spaceship doors, there would be filing cabinets. If you sort of pull a filing cabinet drawer out and you slow the tape down.
Every sound's new one's a challenge. The most difficult one is the sound we haven't made yet.
Whatever that may be.
Well, joining our celebration of Doctor Who are Sylvester McCoy and companion Wendy Padbury, the current Doctor and the companion of the second Time Lord Patrick Troughton. How can this be? But there they are. I see them peering through the window.
There they are. Why don't they join us?
Well, I hope they'll join us. Come on, come on. Welcome, welcome. And they've gone.
Here they
Hello, welcome to the Who special. Now, Wendy, you were Zoe many moons ago and you started out as an astrophysicist. Did you share that same fascination for science and technology as Doctor Who?
I did as Zoe, yes, and in fact it was quite nice at the beginning because I was rather cleverer than the Doctor, so I was able
really?
to... Oh, yes. So I was able to sort him out and get us out of many problems, yes.
Oh, I see. Oh, well, things have changed.
Well, two examples of Doctor Who technology, 27-year-old technology, are the Daleks and the Cybermen. Sylv, can I ask you how you coped with the Daleks?
How I coped with the Daleks? Well, I didn't really feel I was a proper doctor until I got to go have a go at the Daleks. And but I always used to wonder how they could conquer the universe when they could never get up the stairs. And as luck would have it, they worked out how to do that in the episodes that I worked with them in. They were suddenly flying upstairs and doing all sorts of extraordinary things. But the thing I remember most about that was the explosions. And there was a big battle going on under the railway line of Waterloo. And the pyrotechnic boys at the BBC let off this great explosion. The police had forgotten to tell the ambulance and the fire engine department that we were doing it. All the alarms and car alarms for miles around went off and rattled. The noise was terrible, smoke everywhere. An ambulance drove round the corner, screeched to a halt, and suddenly from the smoke from out of this tunnel came 3 Daleks, and the ambulance driver just fell about laughing and couldn't believe it.
Wendy, when you see Sylvester as Doctor Who, do all the kind of special effects seem terribly sophisticated,
They
sort of
do.
20 years on?
Yes, really sophisticated. And when I look at the old ones, you know, the ones I was in, yeah.
I mean, you weren't exactly blowing up paper bags and bursting them,
No,
but it was
wasn't
much
quite
more basic,
that bad,
wasn't it?
but it was a bit more basic, yes. But I know exactly what you mean about you didn't feel you were a doctor until you met a Dalek, because I feel a bit deprived, because I never met a Dalek.
Really?
No, never met a Dalek.
Do either of you have special effects that are favourites, you know, noises or disappearing things?
I have a favourite monster, which always frightened me, which, funnily enough, I heard that John Pertwee didn't like particularly, but the Ice Warriors, to me, were my favourite. It was the hissing voice, I think, despite the fact that you sat and watched the guy with have all that makeup put on. But it was the voice that used to send shivers down my spine.
And do you have a favourite monster, Sylvester?
Well, the producer is sitting right opposite me. I can't really... did I have a favourite monster? Well, the one that I remember used to frighten me or disturb me was, I can't remember what they're called, little hairy things that used to run about in the sand. Do you know what they're called? Here's your starter for 10.
I don't know.
Sort of hairy spiders.
They were kind of, yes, there were hairy things. And
the Green Death, maybe.
Oh, well, we shall
write in
battle
and
on
tell me what it
what on
was.
earth this was while we hand you over to the other side of the studio.
Long before Star Wars and Close Encounters of the Third Kind were ever invented, the Doctor Who technical team were performing televisual miracles on vastly smaller budgets and with equipment which 20 years on looks prehistoric. But as you can see, they still produce some magic television.
It's real!
No, it's not real. It's a legend.
It
doesn't exist.
See? There isn't anything there, is there?
Look at the wall. Concentrate.
It is there. I can see it.
Can you see it yet? Yes. Good heavens, this thing has switched on.
You will identify anyone known to you, particularly this doctor.
Stop!
No.
Now then, before the break, there's just time to prepare you for an invasion of the studio by Daleks as we discover just how they got started. So stay with us.